Hello, my educator family. Let me welcome you to the month of Superb September. Superb indeed, because we know that the beginning of the school year 2021-2022 will be off to a great start despite the many challenges that we may be seeing around us. Let us put our minds in that frame to say whatever comes our way, we will be able to stand. Yes, indeed. And so for the month of Superb September, we'll be looking at classroom management. How is it that we go about setting the tone for the rest of the school year? And so as we feature this Sunday in Strategy Sunday, we have with us Mrs. Krishna Hylton, who is the former principal of the Riverside Christian Academy in Saskatchewan, yes. And so she'll be sharing with us the first 100 days of school. What is it that we will be setting out to do when we get into our classrooms, be it physical or online? And so we want to welcome Mrs. Hylton once more to our platform, and we trust that the information that will be shared with you all educators will be beneficial as we begin the school year. Let's have her.
Presentation today. We'll be talking about the first 100 days of school. Wow, 100 days of school. Yes, the first 100 days of school can be great. It can be terrible, but guess what? It's always something to look forward to. So the first 100 days of school, just around the corner, believe it or not, just a couple days, weeks to go. So a new school year is upon us. It's just around the corner. Can you imagine? Where did the last school year go? That school year 2020-2021 is off in history now, and now you've got new things to look forward to. Some of you have already began to think about your classroom setup, what you're going to do with your bulletin boards. And dare I say, some of you have already started to plan your wardrobe for the new school year. Can you imagine that? It is just around the corner. So the first 100 days of the school year kind of help to set the pace for the rest of the school year. As teachers, if you fail to prepare, what's going to happen? You're going to have to prepare to fail. But this can be avoided if you're diligent and if you work really hard to organize yourself before the school year begins. So our presentation today has a little bit of information from Harry and Rosemary Wong. In their book, How to Become an Effective Teacher the First Days of School, they feature quite a bit of information that I found to be really resourceful for the first 100 days of school. So I've kind of incorporated what they have to say with some of what I have as advice to you to prepare for the new school year just ahead. So I have a little slideshow here that I'm going to be sharing with you just to give you a couple tips as to what you should expect for the first 100 days of school. So let's take a shot. Let's take a look at it. And I just want to say thanks to my daughter Dana for working on these beautiful pictures for me. She's been quite a trooper in getting this done. So here we go. If you dare to teach, then you must dare to learn. Yes, teachers don't know everything. And if you decide that you want to be a teacher, you have to be willing to learn from your students. So quite a bit of important advice there, just reminding us that as teachers, you need to be willing to learn from each other and also be willing to learn from your students. Success during this school year will be determined by what you do on the first days of school. You have to set the pace in your classroom. You have to lay out your expectations for your students so that they know exactly what you expect and what is required of them. So this has to be done in the first few days of school, or you're going to have some challenges later on. Establish good classroom control. What is a classroom without proper control and organization? Yep, it's a lot of stress, both on the teacher and on the students. So you have to establish good classroom control at the beginning of the school year. Know what you're doing. What are your classroom procedures? What are your professional responsibilities? These are things that you have to take into consideration as you prepare for the new school year, the first 100 days of school. Now, food for thought. The first days of school can either make you or break you. What will it be? Are you willing to go the extra mile to do what needs to be done? Are you going to be stressed and overwhelmed and say, I can't be bothered with this? This is not the profession for me. I don't know why I wasted my time to study. What are you going to do? Are you going to go back to the drawing board and try to make a difference in your approach and how you do things? The first days of school can either make or break you. Make your choice. All right. So that's very important thought for you here. Now, student success is very important. Every subject matter, every teacher wants their student to excel in every subject matter. And this will be based on you, okay? What are the lessons that you're planning? How are you designing your lessons? How do you check for mastery? Student success depends on you. They have their own part to play. They have to take responsibility for their learning. But as a teacher, you need to do whatever it is in your power to guarantee the success of your students. As I said before, if you need to go back to the drawing board to check out the methods that you're using or the strategies, that is something that you may need to do. But everybody wants their students to be successful, so we try to aim for that. Work cooperatively with your colleagues. Who wants to be working with a staff or a team that doesn't want to work together? I know I wouldn't be happy in that situation. So it is good to work along with your colleagues, feed off of their years of experience, talk to them, discuss your challenges, ask for ideas. No man is an island. You can work together to get your success for your students on the go. It takes a village to raise a child, right? So why would you want to do it by yourself? So take the time out to collaborate with your colleagues and let them guide you in that process. Now, learn from your colleagues. So you work collaboratively with them, but you also need to learn from them, okay? You have to take the time to listen to the advice that they give you, especially for new teachers getting into the classroom. Don't just think you know it all after your 4 or 5 years of education, right? Remember, teachers who are senior teachers for a reason. They're senior. They have been there. They've done that. They can guide you through the process, okay? So learn from your colleagues and don't ever forget that they're an important part of the learning experience. So next up, I have here, beg, borrow, and steal. Yep, you heard that right. Beg, borrow, and steal. I said that to my students back at NCU one year, and they looked at me and said, Mrs. Hylton, are you crazy? Beg, borrow, and do what? Steal? No, you can't be saying that right. But yes, research has shown beg, borrow, and steal. So beg for the things you want for your classroom. We know that our system doesn't provide everything that we need financially to do what we want to do in our classroom. So beg for it. Go outside and say, ask the people in your community, ask your colleagues, ask your mayor, ask your member of parliament for what you need for your classroom. Borrow things from your colleagues, okay? Say, okay, Carla, I don't have a chart on notes. Can I borrow yours? Say, Tamari, I don't have some markers and some microscopes for my science lesson. Can I borrow those? Mr. Panton, I don't have things for my lessons in sociology. Can you lend me something? Borrow things from your classmates. Your colleagues, your colleagues. They're also your classmates if you really think about it. You're in the work of working with students together. All right, steal now. Time to steal. What are we gonna steal? Am I gonna go to Mrs. Grayson's house and steal some of her apples from her tree? No. Am I gonna go to Jaleese's house and steal some of her clothes to wear to school the next day? No, that is not the case. You steal their ideas. You steal the ideas. You go to the classroom and you say, Mrs. Forrest, I like that chart. You say, Mrs. Foster, I like that game. Wow, that's how you steal the ideas. You put them to good use. Okay, now let's move on. Be flexible and adaptable. So it's not just one way. In the classroom, things change. Things change at the spur of the moment. You have to be ready to make the changes, ready to do things differently. Your students make a suggestion. Are you going to say, no, we're not going to do that? That's not in the lesson plan. No, you need to be flexible. You will enjoy your lesson more and your students will love to have you right there with them. Listen to your students. Now, Do we know it all as teachers? No, we don't. Okay. And we have to respect our students and know that they're intelligent beings too. The Lord gave them wisdom, just like He gives us wisdom each day. So listen to your students. Okay. If you listen to them, the communication will be a whole lot better in the classroom, and you can learn to appreciate them, and they'll appreciate you even more. It says here now, use proven research-based practices in your classroom. So don't go around reinventing the wheel. Do your research, find out what other research was done in the areas that you're having challenges with. Use the ideas of others so that, as I said before, you don't reinvent the wheel and you don't waste quality time focusing on things that you don't need to learn all over by yourself. Have positive expectations of your students. You heard me. Positive expectations. As teachers, sometimes you may be feeling a little downhearted because your students don't grasp the concept as quickly as you'd like them to, or they may be having a learning difficulty. Guess what? Despite their challenges, you should still have positive expectations of your students. I'll give you some feedback here. I'll give you an idea of some of what I'm talking about. If you have negative expectations of your students, it's going to be negative. All right. So if you have positive expectations, things can be different. Case in point. Instead of saying, we'll be lucky if we win the game tomorrow. We'll be lucky if that happens. That's not going to happen. You can say it that way, or you could say, we are going to win the game. And if we don't win the game, we're going to do our best to win the game, right? It's not going to be, we ain't going to win. It's not going to happen. No, we don't talk like that. How about, these kids just don't want to learn? Have you heard that before? I've heard that before. I've heard that many times. But guess what? Instead of saying that they just don't want to learn, how about saying, I believe that every child can learn and they can reach their greatest potential. You know, if you kind of have that mindset, it helps you to look forward to the progress that your students will be making, and you can guide them in that process and help them to excel. I'll give you one more. Hardly anybody likes to go to meetings, right? Sometimes people are just constantly in meetings and staff meetings, and meetings just never end. So sometimes, we're required to do it as teachers. It's for our own development, right? But you often hear the comment, oh, these meetings are so boring. Conferences do nothing for me. I just can't be bothered. Can I just be sick that day? But the better thing to say is, I'm always learning. I'm on a growth path right here. Going to these trainings and workshops could help me to be a better teacher. All right. So if you have positive expectations of your students, if you believe that they can excel, if you believe that they can do their best, say that to them, encourage them along that line, and you will realize that their attitude will be different. Or next one, dress for success. How do you dress for success? You put your best out. You put the best colors and designs together so that when you step out in front of your classroom, your students will be like, my teacher is ready to be here. You don't get a second chance at making a first impression. So you don't want to go to school on the first day with your hair all crazy, your shirt not in your pants, gentlemen, nice and neat. Ladies, if you're into the stockings and the heels, you need to have that going. I can tell you, I had a student one day, I went to work and she said to me, Mrs. Hylton, you're so pretty. And I was like, oh, she thinks I'm pretty. And I felt so good. And I'm like, thank you, So your students need to see that you're serious about your job. You're serious about how you put yourself together to represent yourself, to represent God, and to make an impact on their lives. So dress for success. Now, as you dress for success, you are a role model for your students, all right? So be the role model for your students. Take your job seriously. Step out in the classroom. Whether it's the first 100 days or all the days of the school year, be a role model to your students. Show them that you value them. You value the work that you do. You think your job is important. You think that they're important to you because despite what you think, they are watching you and you're teaching them how to take their job seriously in the future. So you take that extra effort to make a difference in the life of your students by being a good role model. Be a global thinker, all right? Prepare your students for life. Prepare your students for what's happening to them now, but also prepare them for the future. You have no idea where they're going to end up. You're in Jamaica, you could be in Canada, you could be in America, you could be in Africa, you could be in Egypt, you could be anywhere. You need to be a global thinker. Prepare your students for life. Prepare them for the experiences that are out there. Alert them to the needs of the people around the world. Allow them to be sensitive to those needs and help them to realize that they're part of a great and awesome community of people. Our motto in Jamaica says, out of many, one people, right? And if we want to impact the world, we have to start in our classroom. Now, in the classroom, we have to create an inviting learning environment. You need to have a nice, neatly organized classroom, colorful, attractive. When the students come in, they shouldn't be like, okay, what was Miss thinking today? No, the classroom should be attractive. So when your students come in, they say, I can't wait to learn something today. And this is important. As they step in on that first day, they're already reading you up, they're sizing you up. Is my teacher serious about what she's doing? Is she ready to teach me? Is she prepared to teach me? Does she know her stuff? So have a classroom environment that students will just want to learn as they step through the door. Now, social graces. Those are kind of running away from us because a lot of individuals don't take the time to say please and thank you and good morning and hello and how are you. No, sometimes people tend to forget. I have a situation when I was about 7. My brother and sisters and I were playing outside, and one of the little toys that my brother got for his birthday was a little helicopter, and we were pulling the string on the helicopter, and the propeller part of it flew over to my neighbor's house. So I went over to my neighbor's house and I said, did you see the propeller fly over here? And my neighbor embarrassed me. Man, I got it. I was so embarrassed. My neighbor said to me, didn't your parents teach you manners? Didn't your parents teach you that when you go to somebody's house, you're supposed to say good morning or good afternoon? If the ground could open and swallow me up, I was ready to be swallowed. From that day, I have made sure that when I go into somebody's presence, it's good morning, it's good afternoon. I've never forgotten since then. Not that I wasn't taught before, but in my excitement as a child, just wanting to find the propellers to my brother's helicopter, all I did was just blurt out what I wanted. Take the time to teach your students that social graces are important. They follow you throughout life, no matter what sphere you're in. Always be reminded of the fact that please and thank you, good morning, you're welcome. These are words that they need to use at all times. And for you as a teacher, use it in your classroom. When you speak politely to your students, they will in turn speak politely to you. All right? So social graces are important. We're coming on down. Love your students, and they can't help but love you in return. This is the first 100 days of school. Your students know if you love them, They know if you care about them. They know if you really genuinely care about them. They know if you care about their families and what they're going through. So if you show them love and you show them care, they will also do that to each other. And they will also show that love to you. Call your students by name. Yeah, I said it. Call them by name, not you boy, you girl, you over there, you go to your seat. No, it's John, go to your seat. It's Harry, please sit down. It's good morning, Ryan. It's goodbye, Mary. It's hello, Zachary, how are you today? It's hey, Randy, how's it going? It's not boy, what's up with you? No, call them by name. Make them feel special, make them feel appreciated. And you will find that because you call them by name, what are they going to do for you? They're going to say, good morning, Mrs. Hylton. Good morning, Mrs. Boswell-Lewis. Good morning, Mrs. Williams. Good morning, Mr. Panton. That's what's going to happen. All right. So call them by name and it will be done also to you. Ensure that your classroom features a little confusion or wasted time. What does that mean? Keep the kids on task, keep them going, have activities planned for them. When children don't have a routine, when children don't know what's expected, they find themselves in mischief, all right? Nobody wants mischief in their classroom. So take the time to have activities, puzzles, games, books for them to read when their work is done. Let them know what they can do. Let them know what their options are. Because if they don't know what their options are, they're going to get themselves into trouble. Having a schedule that you and the students can follow is Absolutely important. Over the last school year, my students would come to me and say, Mrs. H, what's next? I said, go check the schedule. And if they forget, Mrs. H, what are we doing next? I said, where can you find out what's happening next? And then they said, oh, yes, the schedule. So have a schedule visible in the classroom so the students know, okay, math is next, Bible is next, it's time for lunch, so they can prepare themselves for those transitions in the classroom. All right. It helps for organization and for smooth flow. So have an organized classroom and class rules. This is important. And apart from having these things, you need to make sure that your class rules are visible so that if something happens and they need to know, okay, what are the consequences for our actions? Like, can we do this? Is this okay? Is this acceptable? So your classroom is organized and you know the rules and the students know the rules and you in turn reinforce the rules. Teach students classroom procedures. So it's the first day of school, it's the first week of school, and your students don't know how to go to the washroom. They don't know how to enter and exit the classroom. They don't know how to go outside for recess or how to go outside for dismissal. So you have to take the time to explain, model, demonstrate the procedures. You have to rehearse them and practice them every day. You have to reinforce and reteach and practice until it becomes a habit and a routine. So in the mornings, they should know, all right, when I enter the classroom, I have to say good morning to my teacher. My students know if they walk past me, I'm going to march them back out and say, are you forgetting something? And then they say, good morning, Mrs. H. I'm like, good morning. So it is something they need to understand. When you approach the classrooms in the morning, say, good morning, teacher. After you've gone into the classroom, what's expected? Do they have morning work to do? Do they go to their puzzles? Do they do activities? Do they play with their Legos? So have them know what that is like and what to expect. A simple thing as going to wash their hands, use the washroom. What are they supposed to do? Do they take a name tag with them to the washroom? Do they hang it up? Do they just walk out of the classroom? Do they ask to go to the washroom? So let them know what's expected of them. For recess, for lunchtime, for dismissal, do they line up before they walk off? If these things are in place at the beginning of the school year, the rest of the school year will flow smoothly, right? Because the students know exactly what is expected of them. So how do they go about washing their hands? How do they turn in the books? Do they just throw the books down on the floor? Do they put them on a shelf? Do they put them on the teacher's table? Are they turned into a crate? These are procedures they need to know. When recess and lunchtime are over, do they just run to the classroom with lightning speed or do they walk, right? So discuss these with the students, practice them, as I said, rehearse them every day until it becomes a habit and it's easy for them to know exactly what is expected of them. Provide effective seating arrangements for your students. And as you know, you don't ever put your students to sit with their back to the teacher. Okay, you need to see what is happening. You need to understand what's going on, right? So have effective seating arrangement, check the whiteboard, check the blackboard, look at the lights in the classroom when they sit. Can they see the board effectively? If you need to sit in their space to see how it looks from your angle, you need to do that. You need to check that out. Also, if your student is having a challenge with seating, you need to probably check if their eyes are okay. I've had a couple of students over the years who have come to realize that they were having challenges because they weren't seeing that well and their parents had to go get glasses. So provide effective seating arrangements for your students that make them comfortable. Okay. Now, ensure that your register is set up and that the data is recorded neatly and accurately. All right. So the first week of school, we were told at our school that for the first 3 weeks or so, we should put the attendance to the back of our register. And then when school officially begins and everybody is in, then they put it to the front. Different school systems have different requirements, but alphabetical order is pretty much what it is. Keep it neat. Use the same pen in the book for the whole year. So you don't start with blue, then go to black. And you know already it does not belong in your register. Don't put it inside there. But keep it neat. Keep it organized. Nice penmanship. It represents you and it also represents the school. Now, assess your students using a variety of methods. So you're just not going to use paper and pencil test. That's back in the day. All right. Use varying types of assessment for your students. Okay. It's not just multiple choice, true and false. No, you've got presentations, you've got projects, you've got discussions, you've got observations. Use different ways to assess your students throughout the school year. Not everybody learns at the same pace, at the same way. So you need to at least track their progress throughout the school year. Communicate with parents and guardians regularly. Okay? Don't be afraid to discuss your observations with them. Okay? Your parents and guardians need to know that you care about your students and you love them. I can remember when I just started teaching, Mrs. Forrest, my senior teacher, said to me, tell the parents as it is. Don't sugarcoat things. Don't tell them any lies, or, try to let yourself look good, or, try to let their child look great and they're having challenges. Tell them as it is, because that way the parents respect you more and you can work together to build that relationship and the academic success of their child. Okay? Praise and motivate your students throughout the entire school year. You're not going to overwhelm them with praise or motivation. You're just going to be that sense of support. So if they do something well, commend them. Matthew, good job on your math today. Nedroy, great work in your spelling. That was awesome, buddy. Keep it up. Joshay, nice reading in your reading lesson today. Or Gabriela, great job in your Spanish today, right? So motivate them. Say, you guys, keep it up. Keep it up. You're doing a great job. Let us keep working hard for the rest of the school year. Because after the 100 days, you just got a couple more days and then the school year is almost over. So keep it sharp. Keep it awesome. Praise and motivate your students as you go along. Now, the Bloom's taxonomy should be used to develop your lessons. All right. You can see blooming going on my screen right here. Thanks to Dana yet again. So use the levels of Bloom's taxonomy to develop your lessons. Create assignments, projects, activities that would increase your student success rate. All right. So, the Bloom's taxonomy goes up in levels. Take the levels up. Challenge your students. Get them to the highest round of that taxonomy and make learning awesome. You have to give both formative and summative assessments in your classes, and you do this right throughout the school year. All right. So you know where the students are at, and when you give your tests, send results home to the parents so they can see what's happening with their children. And based on that, you give the parents feedback. Tell the parents what you're doing to help their child to advance in this area, and the parents should feel free to speak to you. Okay, don't be thin-skinned and think the parents just don't appreciate what you do. Be open-minded, work with the parents for the success of their child. Now, I'm coming down to the end of the presentation. It's almost done. Use different methods to teach concepts, and engage your students in cooperative learning, mastery learning, discovery learning. Make your classroom somewhere where the classmates will all want to be there learning, because learning is awesome and they don't want to stop learning. And last but not least, I'll tell you plainly, love what you do. If you don't love being a teacher, you need to be out of the classroom. All right? I love being a teacher. It comes out of me even when I don't want to be teaching, I'm teaching. But for you, you need to love what you do. If you don't love teaching, your students know. They know you don't want to be there. They know you don't love what you do. So love what you do and ask the Lord for wisdom. Ask the Lord for wisdom to take you through each aspect of the school year. And I can promise you that the 2021-2022 school year will be amazing by God's grace, because you love what you do. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful school year. May the Lord continue to bless you.
Mrs. Hylton, thank you so much for sharing this presentation with us on the first 100 days of school, setting the tone right for this new school year 2021-2022. I am sure that we all have learned something and we have been impacted by this, and that we will go and do likewise. I encourage you educators to remain firm in what we do, to be consistent, to be persistent, to just be that educator that will have that level of winsomeness over your students for the new school year. And in all that we do, no matter what, remember, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Walk good, take care, and have a superb September. Remember to share the link. Remember to like, to subscribe. For those of you who have not yet subscribed, please do so. Comment, give us your feedback. We look forward to it. Thank you, all educators. You have been awesome all year. And so as we go to the new school year, I know that we will still be powered up and we will still be giving you valuable information, insightful and impactful information that will help you as you set yourselves in the classroom for the new school year. Thank you so much.